All right, let's jump right in. If you're trying to land a Python job, you know there are certain topics that just always seem to pop up. Today, we're going to break down one of the most common ones and one that can be a little tricky, the Lambda function.
And let's be real for a second about why this is so important. Look, this isn't just some weird optional piece of Python syntax. Recruiters and hiring managers expect you to be solid on fundamentals like this. When you nail a question about Lambda functions in an interview, it sends a really clear signal that you're ready to write professional code. Okay, so before we dive headfirst into Lambdas, let's do a super quick refresher on the basics. I promise it'll be fast, but it's going to help us see exactly where Lambdas fit into the bigger picture and why they're so darn useful. First up, variables, the absolute building blocks. In Python, it's dead simple. You just give a value a name. That's it. You don't have to declare a type or anything. That's what we call dynamic typing. And here's a pro tip, something interviewers look for. Always, always use snake_case for your variable names. It's the gold standard for readable Python code. So what kind of stuff can we actually store in these variables? Well, Python gives you a whole box of tools. You've got your basic numbers, integers and floats. You've got your text, which we call strings, booleans for a simple true or false. And then you get into the collections. Lists, which are flexible, tuples, which are fixed, dictionaries for key value pairs, and sets for when you only want unique items. These are the Lego bricks you build everything with. Okay, stop what you're doing for a second, because this is huge. If you're coming from a language like JavaScript or Java, just throw the idea of curly braces right out the window. In Python, it's all about indentation. That's what creates your code blocks. The standard is 4 spaces. And if you get this wrong, your code is not just going to look bad, it will flat out refuse to run. It's that critical. And that brings us to the regular, old-school function. You see that def keyword? That's our signal that we're bundling up a chunk of code so we can use it again and again. This is the absolute key to writing code that's organized, clean, and easy to test, which is exactly what interviewers want to see. Okay, refresher is done. Now, with that foundation solid, let's get to the star of the show. What on earth is a Lambda function? Think of it as a function, but different. It's a special purpose tool that's incredibly handy in the right situations. And boom! This slide says it all, doesn't it? Over on the left, you've got your standard function. You know the drill, def, the function name, some arguments, and a return statement. But look at the right. That Lambda does the exact same job in just one clean line. And notice something important. It doesn't even have a name. That's why we call it an anonymous function. So the syntax itself is super simple, but you gotta follow the rules. You just type the word Lambda, list out your parameters, your inputs, then a colon, and after that, one single expression. The result of that expression gets returned automatically, so you don't even need the return keyword. And that's the key. It can only be one single expression.
So you might be thinking, okay, why? Why do we even need this? Don't we already have regular functions? And that's a great question. Lambdas exist for those moments when you need a tiny throwaway function for a quick job. You're going to use it once, right here, and never need it again. Their number one use case is for passing a function as an argument into another bigger function, like map, filter, or sorted.
All right, enough theory. Theory's great, but it doesn't get you a job, right? Let's see how these things actually work in the real world. This is where you'll see why they're so cool and why Python developers love them.
Okay, first up, let's look at the map function. Its whole job is to take a function and apply it to every single item in a list. So, in this example, the normal way to do it is to define a separate square function first. Then you pass that function into map to square every number. And hey, this totally works. Nothing wrong with it.
But check this out. This is the Lambda way. See how we didn't have to define a whole separate function on a different line? We just whip up this tiny anonymous function, lambda x times x, right there inside the map call. The logic is exactly where you're using it. It's just so much cleaner. Let's try another one. This is a classic, the filter function. It does exactly what it sounds like. It goes through a list and only keeps the items that pass a test you give it. And what's our test in this case? A super simple lambda that checks if a number is even. It's the perfect job for a lambda, right? A quick one-and-done check. We don't need a whole named function for that. All right, everybody lean in for a second. Put down your coffee. If you only remember one single thing from this whole explainer, make it this next example. I'm serious. This comes up in technical interviews all the time.
Okay, this is the big one, the sorted function. Sure, it can sort numbers and letters easy peasy, but what happens when you have something more complicated, like this list of students, where each one is a little package of a name and a score? How do you tell Python to sort by the score and not the name? Well, that is the magic of the key argument. We give it a lambda, and that lambda is a tiny little instruction. It tells sorted, hey, for every student, just look at the second item, the score, and use that to do your sorting. This is an absolute game changer, and interviewers love to ask about it.
Okay, so now you know what a Lambda is, and you've seen some powerful ways to use it, but here's what separates a junior from a senior developer: knowing when not to use something. Let's talk strategy.
You have to remember the golden rule. Lambdas are for simple, one-line expressions. Period. The second you think, I need an if-else statement here, or I need to do two things, just stop. That's your signal. It's time for a proper def function. Because at the end of the day, the number one goal is code that other humans can actually read. If your clever little Lambda makes the code harder to understand, you've made a mistake. I love this slide because it lays it all out side by side. Think of it as choosing the right tool for the job. You've got the Lambda. It's your quick, disposable scalpel for a precise inline task. Then you've got the regular def function. That's your sturdy, reusable power tool that can handle the heavy lifting. Knowing when to grab the scalpel and when to grab the power tool, that's a sign of a real pro.
Okay, get ready to screenshot this or write it down. If an interviewer looks you in the eye and asks, so, when would you use a Lambda function? This is the answer you give them. This sentence is perfect, it's short, it's 100% correct, and it uses those key buzzwords, temporary function, higher order functions, that show you really, really get it. All right, one last thing. Let's do a quick myth-busting session. There's this idea floating around that because Lambdas are so short and compact, they must be faster than regular functions. Nope. Not true. Not even a little bit. Under the hood, they're the same thing. They're just what we call syntactic sugar. It's just a sweeter, more convenient way to write something. The reason to use them is for cleaner code, not for a speed boost.
So look, getting a handle on Lambda functions is way more than just passing an interview question. It's really your first step into a whole new style of coding in Python, functional programming. Things like list comprehensions, decorators, closures, they all build on this idea. So now that you've got this tool in your belt, the real question is, what powerful concept are you going to tackle next?